Hey guys, welcome back to Wentworth Life, the channel that talks all things Wentworth. Now, in this video I am going to be taking a look at Wentworth Season 2 Episode 6, The Pink Dragon, and this pink dragon plays a massive part in the entire of this episode. As soon as the episode begins, we've got Sky, who is pretty much off her face and she's on the roof, threatening to fly over the wall and leave the prison behind. Will and Liz, they go up and Liz tries to talk Sky down, but just as she's about to step off the roof, Will grabs her and brings her back to safety, and this starts off a whole catalogue of events. Joan is determined to find the source of these drugs, and she turns her attentions onto Simone Slater, who is having a third visit in 2 weeks from her partner Spitz. Now, as we all know, Spitz has instructed Simone to kill B. Smith, but Simone really doesn't want to do it. She may be able to beat a few people up, but she isn't a killer. I did forget to mention that B had asked Simone to get the name of a hitman that she can use on Braden Holt, and Spitz gets the name for Simone, but he doesn't realize that the name is actually for B. Smith. You still with me? No drugs are found on Simone when she is strip searched, but Joan is convinced that Simone is up to something. Frankie has a go at Batesy in the yard, telling him that she doesn't want shit gear being brought into the prison again. I mean, isn't all gear just shit? Anyway, Batesy then tells Frankie that he can bring in something called Pink Dragon, which he paints as this pure, amazing substance that will make Frankie a hero. Nash overhears Batesy telling Frankie this, and then Nash tells Doreen that a few of the guys back at the male prison, they overdosed on Pink Dragon recently, and that it's really dangerous. But Frankie ignores all of the warnings and basically orders the Pink Dragon anyway. Liz is really worried that there is going to be another death in the prison, and Joan tries to get some information out of her, but Liz does end up telling Joan that she won't give a name, but when the stuff arrives into the prison, she will let her know. Oh god, Liz, you really shouldn't trust Ferguson. You are really gonna learn the hard way. Although I can understand why Liz is worried after what happened with Sue Young. So already there are a lot of things happening, and with Simone, she ends up telling B that she has the name of the hitman, but Simone says that she has to set it up for B. Now, I think when I first saw this episode, I was thinking to myself that maybe Simone was trying to sort the hit out on Braden herself in order to protect herself and her daughter Carly, and she was just gonna let B take the fall for it. I mean, that's what was going through my head anyway. I never really understood why Simone wouldn't just give B the name of the hitman, because it would have sorted out all of the problems that she was currently having. Simone ends up asking Vera if she can put this guy on her call list, and Joan ends up getting her sidekick Nils Jasper to check out this contact, and he finds out that it is indeed a contract killer, much to Joan's surprise. So Joan doesn't approve the call on Simone's call list, and Simone completely loses her shit. She runs into the shower block and she starts throwing everything around, and she then kicks against the wall where, a really sharp, piece of it breaks off right next to Simone as she's sitting down, and she ends up grabbing it and she then heads outside for B. Now, this scene always gives me the chills when Simone is walking in the yard in a slight slow motion, holding the weapon in her hand but hiding it just out of sight as she walks over towards B. And for a moment there, I thought she was going to do it. I thought she was going to try and stab B, but she ends up throwing the weapon down onto the ground, and Joan sees everything on the camera. Now, I think Joan has now worked out what Simone is doing, but she gets confirmation when she listens in on a phone call that Simone was having with Spitz, and it just confirms everything for Joan. Now, don't forget, Joan is trying to use B as a puppet to get to Top Dog and to overthrow Frankie. Joan Joan thinks that she will be able to use B when B is top dog to, to try and keep the prison clean of drugs. So Joan is not going to stand back and just watch Simone kill B. At one point in the episode, Simone ends up going to Frankie and buys some heroin off her, and she almost overdoses until B and Maxine both save her. Then there is this amazing scene that I flippin' love, where B tells Simone that she wants the number of the hitman, but Simone, she's refusing to give it to her and she's just being difficult. So B ends up telling Simone straight to basically fucking toughen up, and she's not the only one who's been through shit. And this happens in front of all of the women, and they start banging cups on the table, and I just friggin' love it. It's such a powerful scene. Vera's mum Rita makes an appearance in this episode, and as we all know, Vera's mum is unfortunately dying and she's being cared for at home by Vera when she's not working, and nothing has really changed in terms of her mum being abusive and horrible to her. Now, there is an interesting scene where Joan comes to Vera's house with some food, and she comes in and meets Vera's mum. Joan sits down on the bed and whispers something to Vera's mum. Now, I don't know what she actually says, and I don't think we've ever had any confirmation, but I tried to lip read a little bit of it, and what I noticed was Joan was saying, "She's worthless, she's mine," just before the camera cuts away. Now, I probably would never be able to guess what she was actually saying when I first watched it, but because we know in later seasons that Joan calls Jodie Spiteri worthless, I think that's what Joan was saying to Vera's mum, or something along those lines. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments box below. So Joan helps Vera prepare some food in the kitchen, and this is when Joan notices the medicated tablets that her mother is on, which is really important because Joan steals one of these tablets and switches it with Simone's antidepressant tablets at the prison. So going back to the moment where B had a go at Simone in the dining room, Simone decides that she is gonna try and kill B after all. So Simone decides to try and get some wire, and she basically rigs it up to B's cell door, where basically if B touches the door handle, then she would be electrocuted to death. So when B gets back from her shower, she goes to open the door and stands on some water, but there's no electrocution. So B goes into Simone's cell to see if she had spilled some water or something, but Simone is laying down on the bed with a needle hanging out of her arm, and she is dead. Now, I always thought that this must have been a really upsetting moment for B to find Simone like this, because straight away B would have been thinking to herself, is this what Debbie looked like when Harry found her? Also, there is a little bit of that pink dragon still in the needle. So Simone is dead, and the question is now, did she do it to herself or did someone hotshot her? I mean, it would be, really silly to go on a bender just as you're trying to kill the woman in the cell just next door to you. And don't forget, Joan gave Simone one of Vera's mum's tablets. It's so messed up, but I freaking love it. Also, I totally forgot to mention, Batesy tries to rape Frankie in the garden shed, and Frankie ends up stabbing him with a garden tool right between his legs to protect herself, which, I'm not being funny, you deserved it, Batesy. Meaning though that the garden project has now come to an end. Doreen and Nash, they have a tearful goodbye, and Vera notices the Dropbox in the shed, but the pink dragon is missing. Boomer has somehow managed to get everything out of the box before the screws notice anything, and she ends up telling Liz. Oh god, this is not good, because Liz goes to Joan and basically tells her where the pink dragon can be found, and it's in Boomer's bed. So Boomer, she's sent to the slot, and she's now looking at another 7 years. Oh dear god, the storylines are getting more and more crazier and messed up as these episodes are going on, and this is why we all freaking love Wentworth so much. This was an amazing, powerful episode in my opinion, and so much happened, it was insane. My favorite moment in this episode has to be the moment where B had a proper go at Simone in the dining room with all of the women there banging their cups and their plates. It felt like for a split moment there that B was actually the top dog, and I just loved it. My least favourite moment would have to be Simone Slater's death. It was a really horrible, tragic way to go in the end, and like I said, it must have been really hard for B. So then guys, let's hear all of your thoughts on this episode. What were your first initial reactions when you saw this episode for the very first time, and were you expecting Simone to die? Let me know everything in the comments box below. Okay then guys, well thank you all for watching today's video. Make sure you smash that subscribe button, stay safe out there, and I'll see you all again very soon.